What's up guys, I'm Durengod and I'm a Master Aegislash one trick in Pokemon Unite. So I've stumbled across this video by IzAw's, who's making godlike content about Pokemon Unite, about the characters. And now he's released an Aegislash spotlight and I just wanted to do a quick reaction, just debunk it a bit and just see if what he's saying in there is accurate and just give my opinion on it. So let's start.
Welcome to a Pokemon Unite showcase on Aegislash. Aegislash is a melee all-arounder and physical attacker who focuses on teamfight damage and single target assassination.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if you use the normal Sacred Sword White Guard setup. Like, you have so much AoE in your kit, it's insane. Like, you even have AoE in your boosted auto attacks. Like, Aegislash is really good when you can put all the enemies into like one spot and deal with all of them at the same time.
That typically will be going to the jungle, but can also go to the top lane and even invade the enemy jungle to level up if confident.
That is true. I am so happy that he is mentioning jungle Aegislash, because a lot of people think that he sucks in jungle, but I personally love playing Aegislash jungle because you can get level 5 after your first clear, immediately unlocking your Sacred Sword, and you're just ready for the bees. Or they're not bees anymore, I don't know what they are currently, but it is just insane. Your first clear is already so good. And if you get a successful gank, like right after that, you can just do another clear and you instantly get level 7 and it's GG at that point. And you can only do that with jungle Aegislash. Like, you can't do that with like top lane Aegislash. While you have good secure with your shadow sneak, you don't really get a lot of resources when you play in lane, so I usually opt to go for jungle. And about the invade thing, honestly, I've never actually invaded with Aegislash because I always found it too risky, because you're really weak in the early game. But it definitely makes sense considering that you have a really good secure move and can definitely destroy the enemy if they are a weak early game jungler. You can just go to a Zero Aura and try to invade him, he will just kill you, you know? But it can definitely work. I just need to try it out myself.
Your passive ability is Stance Change, but will not begin to be active until you've evolved into Aegislash at level 7.
Yeah?
Then you'll switch between Sword Stance after using a Blade move or Shield Stance after using a Shield move. Sword Stance will increase your attack, movement speed, attack speed, while Shield Stance increases defense, special defense, but reducing your attack speed by 20%. And
that's true what he's saying for the most part. He just, like, many people don't know this about Aegislash because many people just chill in Sword Stance and get one-shot and think that Aegislash is naturally squishy, but you just gotta know when to go into which stance. Like, you don't just go head first in with Sword Stance, just Sacred Sword into the enemy without a plan, and then wondering why you get one-shot. Like, of course you will if you don't use your stances correctly. And I know that it is pretty difficult to know when to go for Sword Stance and Shield Stance. You need to know your damage, and you need to know how much you can take in. And if you know that you cannot survive in Sword Stance against the enemy burst, just go into Shield Stance with White Guard. You can also heal up with your boosted auto attacks. Like, knowing when to switch is the most important skill when it comes to playing Aegislash.
Reducing your attack speed by 20%. And after switching stance, for the next 3.5 seconds, your movement speed and attack speed are further increased by 15%.
Yeah, that is also a really important detail about Aegislash, because the fact that you get so much extra stats, it like incentivizes you to switch a lot between your stances, at least during a fight.
Auto attacks will always be the same unless you've added 1 up to 4 boost counts through using your abilities. While in no stance before level 7 or while in sword stance, your boosted attacks will pierce through enemies, which basically means you'll go through enemies and deal extra damage. While in shield stance, your boosted attack will ram enemies, dealing a bit of damage, stunning them for 0.1 second, restoring HP, and will reduce the cooldown of your blade move by 1 second.
The stun is also very important. Many people don't know that it actually stuns for a brief moment. So you can actually cancel a lot of channels because you can stun the enemy. It is a very underlooked detail about Aegislash. And I mean, shield stance in general is just very underlooked. Because shield stance has like, I believe the highest amount of defenses in the entire game. But like you deal basically no damage. That's like the only drawback. That's why you switch between those stances.
At level 1, you can start off with either your Blade move, Shadow Sneak, or Shield move, Iron Defense. Shadow Sneak casts a shadow that'll teleport you to its destination to deal damage. If you hit this move, you'll get a boosted attack. Iron Defense protects you for 3 seconds or after blocking one attack. If this move blocks an attack, it'll neglect the damage and increase your boost count by 1. At level 5, you'll...
He did not mention that you always take Shadow Sneak first, but that might be self-explanatory.
upgrade your Blade move to Sacred Sword or Shadow Claw. Sacred Sword creates a triangular zone that deals damage to enemies and throws them in the air. There's also a follow-up slash that also deals damage. Each player that you hit will provide a boost count, and for wild Pokemon you'll only be able to get max 2 boosts. For 3 seconds after this move, you'll ignore almost half of the enemy's defense stats.
I like that he mentioned that. The fact that you just ignore the enemy's defensive stats. Like, Aegislash is actually a tank shredder, while also being able to one-shot squishies. Like, Aegislash is so insanely good, and a lot of people just underrate him for no apparent reason.
Shadow Claw lets you dash in to damage enemies in a designated direction. The final strike will launch enemies in the air for a brief moment and will give you a boost count. At level 7,
Okay, he does not give any recommendations on which of the specials you take. Maybe he does it later, let me just check.
you'll upgrade your shield move to Wide Guard or Iron Head. Wide Guard will focus in place and shield Aegislash from a bit of damage. It'll initially shove enemies in front and grant you a boost count. If your shield gets hit, it'll increase your boost count by max 2 for each different enemy hit. When this move ends, it'll shove enemies in front and slow them for 2 seconds. If this last hit damages an enemy or if the shield breaks by enough damage, it'll grant you another boost count. So you can get 1 initial boost count, max 2 if 2 different enemies hit you, and 1 more at the end if the shove hits an enemy or if they manage to break the shield by damaging it enough. Iron Head will grant you a bit more mobility and will damage enemies hit. It'll initially grant you 1 boost count and will completely nullify 1 attack for 1 second. And if it does nullify an attack, the shield will disappear while decreasing its cooldown and give you another boost count. At level 9, Aegislash learns Coup de Grace, which unleashes a slash in the designated direction to deal damage and switch you into sword stance. The lower their remaining HP, the more damage it'll deal. If this slash knocks out an enemy, you gain 2 boost counts.
Very important to remember that, first of all, it is an execute, so it's really good for securing kills and objectives. And the second thing is that you get 2 boosted autos, so if you are kind of low on boosted auto attacks, you can just ult. In very specific situation, you can actually ult and then get additional boosted auto attacks. Doesn't matter if you use them in sword or shield stance right after, but it's definitely something that I would recommend doing.
Typically you'll go for Sacred Sword and Wide Guard, which focuses on team fight damage and crowd control.
Okay, now he does the recommendations. That is, in my opinion, the best setup by far. Especially because I feel like the most consistent way to win games in Pokemon Unite is by getting Rayquaza. And you do that by team fighting, because right before Rayquaza, most of the enemy will just group up for Rayquaza because they want to get Rayquaza. So having team fight abilities just makes so much more sense. And they're also better in general, in my opinion.
But it's still good in 1v1 situations.
Yeah, it's still good in 1v1 situations. That's the thing, it is sort of a jack of all trades. It is actually the best. Like, I don't know why you should take anything else. Like, this is the best setup, just take this one.
Or you go for Shadow Claw and Iron Head, which sacrifices a bit of teamfight potential for a bit better single target assassination and mobility since the cooldowns are lower. Auto attacks and boost.
The thing is, I don't think that it is actually worth to go for Shadow Claw Iron Head for a faster execution, and that is because usually what you do is you use your Wide Guard and your Sacred Sword to get your boosted auto attacks, and then you use all of your boosted auto attacks, and as soon as you don't have them anymore, you usually have your abilities already back in most cases. So I don't think that it is actually worth to give up that much team fighting power and 2 actually very good abilities for 2 trash abilities that might be better for assassination. I don't think it's actually worth.
boosted attacks can critical strike, and so can Shadow Claw and Iron Head. However, while in shield stance, boosted attacks do not critical strike. Your critical hit rate will increase at level 5 and 9.
The thing about critical hit rates in Aegislash is your crit rate is naturally low, so it doesn't really make sense to go for anything crit based. Like the maximum crit chance you get is like 20% maybe, but like that's not reliable in the slightest. That is not reliable, so I do not like Shadow Claw and the whole crit build.
It is important to always have shield stance ready when engaging in a fight, since you'll be super easy to kill while in sword stance.
That's true, because many people just dash in. They don't care about their shield stance, they just dash in because they're like, killable, and then they just die for no reason because they're stupid. And then they say that, yeah, Aegislash is actually C tier because he's fair to squish. Yeah, bro, it's so annoying. Like, just admit that you suck at the game.
So you'll also be using shield stance to move around the map and stack up on boost counts before seeking fights.
That is something that I don't recommend. Because a lot of people, like basically everybody except me, says that you should move around with shield stance. Because first of all, you'll be a lot more tankier, so you won't instantly die to ambushes and stuff. Like if someone comes out into the bush and just tries to one-shot you, it will be a lot more difficult to do in shield stance compared to sword stance. And second of all, you can always get maximum boost counts when you keep using White Guard. But I have two problems with this. The first one is that White Guard makes you, and not White Guard, but shield stance makes you very slow. Like you are so much faster in sword stance, which means that you can rotate faster since you are usually a jungler. And movement speed is very important also to dodge skill shots, even though that is kind of obsolete in the current meta of Pokemon Unite. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But nonetheless, I think that the movement speed is very, very beneficial for rotations. For moving around the map, you will have so much more tempo. And I also think that it is not worth to start off with four boosted auto attacks, like force to get them, because first of all you will need to use White Guard a lot to get the boosted auto attacks, which takes time because you need to use White Guard and stand still to get one boosted auto attack. And second of all, you usually don't need any stacks before a fight. Like maybe one or so, but in most cases you can actually just get all four boosted attacks when engaging into a fight, even if you don't have any boosted auto attacks. Because what you do is you engage with your abilities, and after that you should usually have at least like 2, 3, maybe 4 of your boosted auto attacks.
During teamfights, knowing when to remain in shield stance to heal up with boosted attacks and when to switch in and out of sword stance to hit your boosted attacks is key.
Yeah, that's what I said before, that you need to know when to switch between stances.
For items, it'll depend on where you'll go to begin with. Typically, if you go to the jungle, you'll want Razor Claw to increase damage and critical hit rate, Weakness Policy to increase damage and HP, and a defensive item like Buddy Barrier or Focus Band.
That is the old setup, but I personally like to substitute those two and just go with Muscle Band, because first of all you will have a so much faster clear, like it is so much more fast. And I also think that Body Barrier isn't that good on Aegislash, and Focus Band is kind of overrated. It can definitely save you if you make mistakes, but if you are a better Aegislash player, if you are more experienced and know your limits, you usually should not really go for these, and I would recommend Muscle Band because it will give you a lot more opportunities to kill the opponent if you know what you're doing. But if you play Aegislash for the very first time, go with whatever he said. Go with this, and I personally recommend Focus Band. Those three and you'll be good to go.
If you're looking to invade their jungle, you could even swap Weakness Policy to Floatstone for faster movement speed while out of combat. If you're going to the top lane,
interesting idea, but I think you will sacrifice too much in my opinion.
You could do Weakness Policy together with 2 stacking items like Attack Weights and IzAw's Cookie, which rapidly boost your attack and HP if you quickly score 6 times.
That is a viable strategy, but I personally don't like stacking. That is the reason why I don't take them. Like if you like stacking, if you're an experienced stacker, you can definitely go for that because Aegislash is very good at stacking. He has a good gap close and he also has the additional shield, which definitely helps him to stack. But since I don't really like stacking myself, I don't take it. But you can take it if you want. It is not bad whatsoever.
Typical battle item will be full heal, but you could also do extra speed if you're planning to invade their jungle.
I would go for full heal. And the reason is because you have a sort of unstoppable on your White Guard, but If you get CC'd in sword stance, you will just die. So having full heal for a fight and just tearing through the enemy without getting CC'd is so good. Like, I would always recommend this. I never go X speed because I think it's unnecessary, especially because full heal exists and just clears out one of your biggest weaknesses. And you're also very fast if you use sword stance around to move around the map instead of shield stance. It can definitely help when stacking, maybe. You can use it when you want to stack, so you can just run away faster because you only have one gap close. So it might be good in the early game, but other than that, I just think that you should always go for full heal. Challenger though is also a viable option, but it is very, very situational. There are situations where it just smurs out of its mind, and there are just moments where it's useless. That's why I don't really take it. That's why I always go for full heal myself.
For emblems, you'll want to focus on maxing out brown, which is attack, and white, which is HP. Keep in mind that this is just a basic showcase, as with the nature of MOBAs, patches will be rebalancing and changing a few things on abilities, moves, items, or even the stage. You can also check out the website.
That is true. Always remember to go to UniteDB. Always look at the stats, look at the patch notes, what they changed, and you might even adapt for yourself. But yeah, the emblems, attack and HP is sort of a no-brainer. That's definitely
the
true.
Stage. You can also check out the website unitedb.com or the MathCore Discord for the current best builds on each Pokemon in Unite as the meta develops. There is even an emblem builder on unitedb.com. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed these videos and find them helpful, then please consider.
Actually a very good video. Just to recap, I like that he mentioned every single little detail, like the difference between sword and shield stance. I like how he mentioned both setups and why they are good, in which situation they are good. And I like the build at the end, because some people have been building very weird stuff that didn't make sense to me. But yeah, very good video. I would definitely recommend subscribing to IzAw. He also makes a lot of Smash Bros content, so if you like Smash Ultimate, just sub to him. He has a lot of good guides. But that's gonna be the video. I hope you liked it. I hope you understood my reasoning. I definitely think that Aegislash is in a very okay spot, even though a lot of people think that he's very weak. I just think he's a very underdeveloped character that not a lot of people play. They don't really want to give him a chance because he's so difficult to play. But try it out for yourself, try him out for yourself. Look at his guide, just listen to him. He has a lot of good advice in this guide. And yeah, we'll see you on the battlefield. Bye bye.